Whenever you are
Great.
ready.
Well, it's 6 o'clock, so why don't we start? This is the first hearing is upon the application of Robert and Jillian Bulger by their. Oh, wait a minute. Excuse me. Nope. Sorry. Upon the application of Zachary Chrisman and Jessica Cohen by their attorney.
us.
Harry. Huh?
Hi.
That's us.
We're here.
That's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Dated September 6, 2022, on file with the Board of Appeals for a special permit from the terms of Section 6B3, Section 6C1, and Section 5A1. The applicant proposes to build a 5 by 8 foot mudroom addition to the front of their home, to demolish a 10 by 20 attached garage at the left of their house, and build a 10 by 42 foot one-story addition, and to build a 13-foot by 12-foot shed dormer addition on the third level, all at 42 Landon Road. A plot plan of 52522 shows the mudroom addition will be built at a distance of 14.4 feet from the front property when 18.3 are normally required by Section 6B3. The one-story addition on the left side would be built at a distance of 7.3 from the left side property line when 10 are normally required for Section 6C1. And the dormer addition makes this home a 3-story structure when only 2.5 stories are allowed by Section 5A1. The property lies in a Residence C zoning district, and all is therein set forth in said application and plans on file with the board and open to public view. I'm Virginia Donahue King. I'm the zoning administrator, which allows me to decide cases on a panel of one for ones that don't seem too arduous as far as creating a difference in the neighborhood. And so there we are today. I'll be making the decision on this application. I have in the file elevations of the proposed addition. I have floor plans. I have a plot plan, and let's see, that's what I have here. And I also have a letter from Mrs. Attorney McKettrick outlining the reasons why this should be granted. So I would like to turn it over to Mrs. McKettrick right now, and we can get started with the hearing.
Thank you.
Attorney
I'm Mary McKettrick. Yeah, thank you. And I represent the applicants. And you've already correctly stated the relief that's been requested. I just point out one more thing, a couple of things about the relief that's requested. One is that the side addition, which is 1 story, is replacing an existing garage. It is almost in the same setback, which is a non-conforming setback, as the existing garage. Is 0.2 feet, slightly closer in one part. The shed dormer addition, while it does constitute a 3rd floor, it does not exceed the allowed elevation, which would be 123.2 feet. The elevation of this proposed design is 118.7 feet. So just to give some, to provide some background, that this is a pre-existing non-conforming structure on the left side setback. It's also on a non-conforming lot, 5,762 square feet rather than 7,500. That's why this application is allowed to be a special permit rather than a variance, because these are considered intensifications or extensions of existing non-conformities. So the family that you see here tonight, or some of them, the parents, consists of 2 parents and 1 child. Both parents work from home. And so in renovating their home, what they were looking for was additional living space, including some additional sleeping area for grandparents to sleep when they visit and provide childcare, and possibly for future au pair living space as well as sleeping space. And furthermore, both parents, since they work from home, are looking for a private working space for each of them. So this is a modest colonial style house in a neighborhood of modest colonial style, mostly houses. They're mostly on small lots, just like this one. So, the changes need to be carefully designed so that they fit in with the neighborhood. I think it's helpful to look at the elevations for this design, which will show you that you can see the further increased elevation for the third floor is mostly in the rear. And when you look at the front of the house, you're not actually going to see much, you won't see much change at all, because you're still looking at a garage on the side, but now the garage is longer and includes a garage in front, and then in back, I think it's the dining room, but anyway, it's an extension of the house. Yeah.
Right,
And then,
yeah, dining room.
exactly.
Yep.
And I think it's also important to point out that in your file, you have letter of support
Oh, yes, I was
signed
just
by
going to add
neighbors.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
With
So,
all of
yeah.
the neighbor to each side, as well as across the street and
And
rear
behind,
neighbors.
yeah.
Yeah.
So all neighbors who kind of see our house.
The mostly
Exactly.
affected by
One
the
of-
application.
One of our neighbors is actually on the Zoom, but she can't, for some reason, get her video to work, is there to support. This is our very close friend across the street.
That's great. And so, you really have to look at the particulars of each of these applications. But in this case, I happen to live, probably 6 or 7 blocks away. I'm very familiar with the neighborhood. And this particular addition, while it will give you some good additional living space, at least in my view, it fits in very well with your existing architecture. And it's not out of place in this neighborhood. But it's always important to hear from neighbors and to know that they don't object as well. So that pretty much summarizes my, narrative that I'd provided with the application. Do the applicants have more that they want to add that I didn't include?
No, I mean, we're huge advocates of Milton. We moved here from Newton and could not be happier with our community. We don't want to leave our neighborhood because we're so close with everybody in our neighborhood, to the point where we've never been more impressed with like people like anywhere that we've lived. We're from
The dog.
Oh, I forgot to
We're
mention the dog.
we're from Newton, and we love it here. And hold on.
We'll do that. I guess I would just add that a lot of our friends in the neighborhood have done similar types of additions and renovations, which is sort of what inspired us to move forward with plans. We were considering, do we move or do we try and make the house, a little bit bigger, a little bit more accommodating to our post-COVID lifestyles, which includes us working from home. So that was sort of the impetus of all this. My husband, who just had to go attend to my 6-year-old, is in real estate and feels like this would really add value to the home. Our plan is definitely not to make these changes and then move. We want this to be our forever house, but that if one day we do, he feels strongly that this only adds value to the neighborhood. And like Marion said, really fits in with the character of the neighborhood and some of the changes that we see happening here.
Sorry, 6-year-old problems. Yeah, but we're huge advocates of our neighborhood in Milton, and we don't want to leave here. We could definitely buy another house for 1214, but we'd much rather stay here and grow this neighborhood and see the changes that this neighborhood needs. And we hope that we can do that, because we will be great neighbors and great Milton people forever.
Thank you.
Okay, great. I am familiar with the area in as much as my grandparents lived there up until the early this century.
Oh, wow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they were there for a very long time, and it was nice driving by the neighborhood again to check out the house. And I also looked at it from Kevin Road to see what the view
Yep.
would be from Kevin
Oh.
Road.
Yep.
And with the trees, and I think the shed will be well concealed with,
Yeah.
well, not so much concealed, but blend in with the trees there.
Totally.
Definitely.
And I just wanted to read in that the neighbors that have signed this letter in support of your application are Laurie Duro, across the street, 45 Landon
Yep.
Road, Joanne Kaiser from
Yep.
46 Landon Road, neighbor to one side, and Edward Madigan, neighbor to the other side, as well as Jackie Golden, your neighbor to the rear. So we'll have that
Correct.
in the file as well. So it looks like there's nobody else that wants to speak for or against the application. So I'll close the evidentiary hearing and part of the hearing and decide for you where we go with this. There are a lot of different bylaws that are asked for relief from, but they're fairly minimal in each instance. And I find that the subtotal of those does not degrade the bylaw, and it's keeping with being able to build on a small lot and not overbuild, but to build judiciously so that you can stay in the neighborhood that you love and be there for many years. So with the conditions that let's see, that that you follow the the plans that are on file with the board substantially, and
Yep.
setback and so forth, and that will conform to that and be pleasing to the neighborhood, which it appears like you've done a good job on that. I am hereby voting as a person of one who gets to make the decision for this special permit.
Awesome.
So you will probably want to file the decision once that comes to you. I'll be writing a decision. It has a 20-day appeals period once it gets filed with the town clerk. And after that, you can bring it to the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds to put that on your record, so that when somebody does want to buy your house at some point, they'll know that it's legal and they don't have any problems of
Uh-huh.
keeping what they've bought. So
Great.
congratulations. And
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so
Good luck
much.
with the
We're so
discussion.
excited.
you look it. That's great.
Yeah, thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Marianne. We
Marianne.
appreciate all your
You're
support.
very welcome. If you would like me to do a rough draft of something, Virginia, I'm always willing to do that. It's up to you, but if you want, I can send you something. You can
That would be great.
take it
That
or
would be
leave it.
great. There are a
Okay.
lot plowing through, so that would be great. And I
You're
can
doing in a
tweak.
lot of these cases. It's a huge help to everybody. I just want to
Well-
say that. I haven't said that previously, but people are so relieved to be able to get a hearing and to be able to move forward. And you're just putting so much time in. I think we all want to say thank you.
Oh, thank
Thank you,
you. I
everybody.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thank
Happy
you so
New
much.
Year.
Take care.
Happy New
All
Year.
Thank you. Appreciate
Yes.
it. Happy
Bye,
New
guys.
Year.
Thank you.
All right, Marion, so 751 Blue Hill Ave, is it Elizabeth?
Yes. Elizabeth Hiles?
Yes, I don't see her on the attendees list.
Well, if she isn't able to make it, we've talked.
I think she just came in as an email. Looks like it's an email address. Does she work at BC? I think this is her.
I believe that's her, yes.
Okay. All right, let me promote her over again.
Scams are still taking their chances. When you see the number of years.
I've tried promoting her over. I'm not sure if she's having difficulty or.
She just has to accept. Oh, there.
Here we go. Yes.
Great.
Awesome.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Oh, you can hear me. Oh, sorry. We're in the car. So I'm so sorry. I didn't know if my Zoom would work on my phone or not. Sorry about that.
Well, you came in just in time because it's 6:15, so
Yeah, I know, I was trying. I don't know what was
So
going on. I'm
smart.
so sorry.
Okay, I'm going to call the hearing to order upon the application of Elizabeth Hiles by her attorney, Marion McKettrick, dated September 12th, 2022, on file with the Board of Appeals for a special permit in accordance with the terms of Section 3A9 of the Milton zoning bylaws. The applicant proposes to create a temporary apartment within the first floor of their home at 71 Blue Hill Avenue. The property is a Residence A zoning district, all as therein set forth in said application and on plans on file with the board and open to inspection. We have in our file the application as well as a denial letter stating that to have a temporary in-law apartment, one needs to go through the Board of Appeals and get that approved. We have the temporary apartment layout plan of the first floor, and we have what the plans as it will be when the temporary apartment is no longer needed, what that will be converted back to. We have tiny writing here. This one is a conservation site plan, and we also have a plot plan and a letter from Mrs. McKettrick. So I'll let her explain her letter a little bit, and we'll go to town.
Thank you. I'm Mary McKettrick. I represent the applicant for this hearing. And this is an application for a special permit for a temporary apartment. The applicant has recently completed a first floor addition. The proposed temporary apartment would be 751 square feet, contained within the new addition, and would have a single bedroom, bathroom, and kitchen living area, and a shared entrance with the main house. And this apartment will provide private living quarters for Elizabeth Hiles' mother, whose name is Loretta Rochelle Hiles, the tenant. And so therefore, as described in the application, the dimensions of the apartment, its use, and the characteristics of this lot fit the requirements of the bylaw. This is a 1.382 acre Residence A district lot. So it's a large lot. It's also on a private way, and it's located at some distance from Blue Hill Avenue. So it's in a relatively private location. The lot is spacious. There's a large driveway with plenty of parking. The house happens to be an existing home constructed in about 1920. So this addition has been pretty well designed to just add on to one side. We don't have a letter from nearby neighbors, but the applicant has consulted with nearby neighbors, of which there are very few, and hasn't heard of any opposition to the application. I'm not going to do this necessarily every time for a special permit for this type of apartment, but just to run through the requirements, this apartment complies with each one of them. The applicant owns the property. The tenant will be her mother. The two layout designs show that only minimal changes will be required to return the apartment once it's no longer in use as a temporary apartment. It's in a location with plenty of room. There should be no adverse effects on neighbors. It's 785 square feet. It's less than the maximum area allowed for these apartments, which is 800 square feet. And I've also discussed with the applicant the fact that this is a 4-year permit, and before the 4 years expires, she must come back to the Board of Appeals and apply for renewal of the permit, providing the use continues. And the permit will also discontinue upon sale of the property. If there's a new owner, they have to come back and apply for a new permit if they want to continue to use this as a temporary apartment under the terms of the bylaw. And so what you get when you are issued, when this is approved, if it becomes final and you build the apartment, the building commissioner will issue a temporary certificate of occupancy. It's just temporary. It's never changed from that because it's only a 4-year permit. And after 4 years, you have to come back and apply again. The final requirement that I've reminded these applicants of is that each year, the owner is supposed to advise the building commissioner that the temporary apartment use is continuing. That's I think that can be done by an email. It can be done by going into the office or, by sending a letter, but that's something that it's important to remember. So those are the requirements. This application does fit all the requirements. So we'd ask you to consider granting the special permit. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Marion.
Well,
Is there anybody else that wants to weigh in on this in the Zoom audience?
Nope, there's no one's
Nope.
hands up right now.
Okay, well, we'll close the evidentiary portion of the hearing, and I'll deliberate on this. It sounds like a well thought out application. This is another property I'm familiar with. I was very good friends in my childhood with another gal that lived in this house. So I've stayed at this house a lot. It's changed since then.
Wait, were you friends with the Mahonies?
Yes, yes.
Oh, that's so funny. So were we. That is too funny. Yes. Oh, wow.
Spent a lot of time in that house.
That is so my brothers went to school with a bunch of the Mahoney kids.
Uh-huh.
So that's so, yeah. Oh, wow. Small world.
It is a small world, and
That's
Milton is
Milton.
even smaller.
I guess so.
So I went by and saw the addition. It was pretty exciting to see that too. So it's a lovely addition, and like your attorney says, it meets all the requirements, and you know what the conditions are for keeping that permit
Yeah.
current, and how to reapply for it and everything. And
Yep.
I find that this meets all of those requirements, and so I'm hereby granting a special permit for the temporary in-law apartment, and I wish you and your mom and family very well
Aw.
living in it.
Thank you so much. She's very excited. She's been on the
Great.
other side of Milton for, I don't know, oh my gosh, 55 years in East Milton Square. So she's very excited.
Great, great. Well, congratulations. And just the important thing is when you reapply for the permit, make sure you get a hearing before the permit runs out. so
Oh,
that you
okay.
don't have to go through the whole process again. That's the
Okay,
important piece.
awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so
Thank-
much. And thank you,
congratulations.
Marion.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, thanks, Marion. Bye.
And as I said before, for the previous case, I'm always willing to draft some kind of rough draft if it will help you, especially with these. These are quite similar, so I'm
That would
sure
be
I have
great.
I have a
Yeah,
template or something.
exactly, exactly.
I'm happy to do it, and I will get that to you as soon as I can.
Great. Now I'm
Okay.
going to put myself on mute so I can go get my 2 Berlin Ave stuff, and I shall be back in time for our 6:30.
Great, thank you.
We're going to call to order the third hearing of the evening upon the application of Robert and Jillian Bulger by their attorney Marion McKettrick, dated September 13th, 2022, on file with the Board of Appeals for a special permit in accordance with the terms of Section 3A9 of the Milton zoning bylaw. The applicants propose to create a temporary apartment within their first floor of their home at 345 Thatcher Street. The property is in a Resident C zoning district, all as therein set forth in said application and plans on file with the Board of Appeals. My name is Virginia Donahue King. I'm the zoning administrator. We'll be making the decision on this application today. And let's see, going to be pretty similar to the last one, I'm thinking here. The applicants are represented by Attorney McKettrick, so I'll turn that over to Attorney McKettrick right now.
Okay, good evening. I'm Marion McKettrick. I represent the applicants, who are Robert and Jillian Bulger. They're the owners of 345 Thatcher Street. And this is an application, again, for a temporary apartment. The applicants, let's see, I guess is Jillian Bulger's mother parents are Jeff and Lorraine Burke. Is that correct? Yeah. And they have recently finished a single-story addition to the right side of this home. A portion of the addition is proposed to be a 714 square foot temporary apartment where the parents will live. As listed in the application, the apartment will conform to all the requirements of the zoning bylaw, including the following. The occupants in each unit have a parent-child relationship. The tenants are Jeff and Lorraine Burke. The apartment has one bedroom and is less than the allowable area of 800 square feet. There is plenty of room for parking, including a new garage that's been constructed, and the entrances to the apartment and the house are shared. This will be a good living arrangement for this family. It's very similar to a number of other temporary apartment applications the town has approved. It allows the Burkes to remain in their home, but to be on a one-level living situation with privacy, with their own kitchen, but also to be close to their children and their grandchildren. The lot is unusually large for a residency district. It has 13,642 square feet. And here in the residency district, the lot size requirement is only 7,500 square feet. Also, the lot as exists today, it has a long driveway reaching all the way to the back of the lot, which does provide quite a bit of space for parking any additional cars. The Burkes are longtime residents, and their daughter grew up in this home. I'll let them address anything they want to say about how neighbors feel about the application, but they have lived here for many, many years. This is a very close neighborhood where people know each other and everyone can see the new addition. They're certainly not aware of any opposition to the application, but did you want to add anything? Anyone who's in here? I'm sorry, I should leave that to the chairman, but chairperson.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Anything you want to add? You might be muted still.
Mom, okay,
Can you hear me now?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, I've spoken to abutters on both sides and to the rear, and there's no objection at all about the addition in the in-law, temporary in-law apartment. Plenty of neighbors around. It's on a very busy street, as you know, Thatcher Street, so everybody in Milton has driven by and taken notice. There's been no objections.
Great, thank you. I
Okay.
think that pretty much covers it.
It probably does, yes, unless there's anybody waiting in the wings that Crystal can tell me about. Otherwise, I'm going to close the evidentiary portion of the hearing.
There
once
is not, Jenny.
Okay, thanks, Crystal. Once again, Attorney McKettrick has represented her clients well. This is exactly the kind of situation that the temporary apartment law is written for, so people can age in their home and there can be families living together and sharing as much as their lives as they want, but not all of them, and that's a really wonderful thing. So given that all of the requirements of the bylaw have been met, I vote that we shall be issuing you a special permit for an in-law apartment.
Thank you.
Very welcome. And just make sure that it's a 4-year term, and you need to let the building inspector know each year that you are continuing to use that temporary apartment. And also you need to renew it before it expires. So at some point, get on the calendar of the Board of Appeals for a hearing before it expires at the 4-year date. So I'll be, well, maybe Mrs. McKettrick will be writing this one too. We'll be writing a decision on this that gets filed with the town clerk, and there's a 20-day appeal period, which it doesn't appear that anybody is going to be appealing it, but there is still that 20-day appeal period that you need to wait for, at which time you'll be able to have your legal apartment, and then it's 4 years from that date that it's filed. At that point that you need to get your renewal application in. Okay, so congratulations, and I wish you all the best for intergenerational living, and hope it works out for everybody.
Thank you very much.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So do we have to wait the 20-day period before we start installing a kitchen?
You do.
Strictly speaking, yes.
You can have your plans ready, though. Maybe I suspect since you've already done the addition, you're probably all ready to go. Unfortunately, well, That's the process. After a decision is filed and you have to have a written decision filed first. So again, I will offer to draft it. Virginia King still reviews it and makes sure that it says what she wants it to say. She'll then file the decision and then the 20 days starts. So you are going to have to wait a little bit longer. All I can tell you is I'll write the draft as fast as I can.
And
I
I'll look
know
it over as
Virginia-
fast
that
as
would
I
be
can.
cool. Thank you.
Then we're going on meals with the Bulgers.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks very much.
okay, good luck.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay. It's now 6:45 and I'm going to call to order the continued hearing on the application of Patrick Keeney for 2 Berlin Avenue. There was some information that we were going to be looking at and concerning the attic on the third story, if we could make that into a 2.5 story as opposed to a third story or not. So I'm hoping to have some good information from you that will address that. Mrs. McKettrick?
Yes, thank you. I'm Marian McKettrick. I represent the applicants. And that's exactly what happened. We presented the application at the last hearing, and there were questions about the height of the peaks. This is a 1-story home that's going to be converted to 2 stories with roof peaks, and also to the square footage in the attic area, which according to the original application constituted a 3rd floor. And, as to whether that was really necessary and perhaps maybe a little too high for this site. So the applicants went back to their architect, Joe Genduso, who is here tonight, and asked him to revise the plans to try to reduce the size of the attic area to a 1/2 story, qualify as a 1/2 story, so that no zoning relief would be required for that. I discussed this with the applicants, and they said that while they would like to have had the additional storage area in the attic, looking towards their future needs as a family, they thought that they would still be pleased to have some storage. So, and they certainly would like to get this approval, and they really need to get moving on this addition. They have infant twins, so the family size has expanded a lot, and they really
Like
need the
doubled?
extra space. Yeah, it's a lot bigger. So this is what happened. So Joe Genduso did go back and he did a revised plan, and which shows a 1/2 story, which has a square footage of 305 square feet. The previous square footage was a little over 600 square feet. We actually were confused about that at the last hearing. And so that was the reason why it was considered a 3rd story. It's now considered a 1/2 story. The revision also actually lowers the height of the front peak from 35 feet to 32 feet. Also, within the allowed height for a single family residence. We have provided the revised plans for this hearing. Mr. Genduso took these plans to Joe Prondak, who has reviewed them, and he did send an email, which Crystal should have received today, stating that this revision removes the need for the second form of relief requested in this application, that the 1/2 story qualifies under the existing bylaw and does not need any zoning relief. That leaves then only one request for zoning relief that the applicants are now asking for, and that is a special permit to allow the extension of this pre-existing non-conforming house and lot, which will allow the addition to be constructed at a distance of 6.9 feet from the front property line, rather than the 7.3 feet usually allowed, and then for the porch on the front of that to be at 5.7 feet. So the total relief is 5.7 feet from the front property line. So that's not extremely unusual form of relief. The Board of Appeals has granted that kind of relief a number of times for front additions and also for front porches. And in general, I would say otherwise, and particularly with this change, although it will be a substantial increase in the size of the house, it will be really an attractive design and I think will in the end enhance the neighborhood and certainly will be great for the applicants. I don't know if there's anything Mr. Genduso would like to add or whether Patrick Kenny, who's here tonight, would like to say anything.
I think you
About-
said it all,
Yeah.
Marion. So I guess the reason we're asking for the overhangs on the front and back is simply to get a floor plan that'll allow the 3 bedrooms, all of which are modest size and obviously a family bath and a master bath. So it's just a matter of square footage. Otherwise, these bedrooms would be quite a bit smaller, 9 by 9 as opposed to 9 by something like that.
Now, I have not received the new plans.
Well, you didn't.
And
Oh.
No, and I have not received the letter from Joe Prondak either. So I'm a little bit crippled right now. From what it sounds like, I would be very happy to approve this. But I'm a little bit crippled in that I don't have the actual plans in my file right now. So I think that if we can, how do we do this?
If I can make one suggestion, I understand this issue, although we did send the plans, but evidently you haven't received them, which is a problem. But what I would
Yeah.
suggest is this, and normally I wouldn't take this risk, but I'm quite sure of this. The applicants are not going to build the 3rd floor addition in excess of what's allowed by the zoning bylaw.
Mhm.
They only want the variance for the front, which you've already seen. We discussed that at the last hearing.
Mhm.
So what we would be asking for tonight is approval of a single special permit to allow the relief of, to allow the front of the addition, and it's actually an overhang, and the front porch to be as close as 5.7 feet from the front property line rather than 7.3 feet. We're not requesting the other form of relief. We don't want you to grant it. I mean, we're not asking you to grant that. And we will send you the revised plan and we will send you the email from Joe Prondak. But basically the risk is on the applicants because what they're doing is they're just removing one of their requests from the application, which it would be their right to do.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't suggest that they do that without going back to their architect and finding out if they can live with the revision, but they're satisfied that they can. So in that case, to avoid you having to hold yet another hearing,
Yeah, we don't have to
that
do
would
that
be
and
my,
delay
you know,
more. Yeah.
and I mean, actually discussed this with Joe Prondak today because I didn't know whether he'd be able to finish reviewing the plans. Apparently he did because he sent the email, but his suggestion as well was then simply remove this part of your request from the application. The applicants are in agreement with that and ask if the board would be willing to grant only the second form of relief that's requested for the front of the building.
I think that sounds good. This can be, I'm sure everything is going to be fine when I look at it tomorrow or whenever that shall be. The soonest I can get a hold of it, that would be great. But since we're only be directing the special permit for, well, we need to, okay, what I can say is I can deliberate. I guess we have closed the evidentiary period and I am deliberating right now. And my thought process is I want to grant what we are talking about today. I will be doing that with the understanding that I'll be getting the information in the next couple of days and that will all be on file with the building department and that the structure is built in accordance with those revised plans. So I think that we can indeed do that. So so I'm voting for this plan. I appreciate very much working with me on this so that we can have something that I feel comfortable granting the special permit for, and that it's something that is going to work for you and your family as well. So I really do appreciate that as well. I know it's not exactly what you would wanted, but I hope it ends up being something that works out to be fabulous for you. And you'll ask yourself, why did I want a bigger attic? So we'll hope for that. And so congratulations for your almost conditional, but not really conditional special
appreciate it.
permit on this. And I look forward to looking at the plans, because I think it's a very exciting thing. And I wish you much luck with you and your very doubled family.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Joe.
Okay.
You're welcome.
No problem. You're
And
welcome.
again, I'm
Thank
willing
you.
to draft this, a draft for you. In this one in particular, you'll want to look it over carefully just so that it's stated the
Right.
right way and you're
Ex-
comfortable with it. However, I assure you that tomorrow you will receive the email from Joe Prondak and a copy of the revised
I
plan.
bet
I'm
I
think-
will.
I'm thinking
gonna
about
bet
this,
money
and
on it.
we might have been waiting for Joe Prondak's okay to send you the plan, and
Oh, okay.
so he did send he did send the email to Crystal, but I apologize
can-
for the lateness, but that's
I
just.
can get the email over right now. I was just scrolling through all my emails. I have that I can forward over to you, Ginny.
Mhm.
The updated plans I'm not finding on my email.
And
Is
that's
that-
why I'm thinking now, the reason is they're all on the file at the building department because they went into the building file. But because Joe Prondak hadn't said, yes, I agree with Joe Genduso, this does not require zoning relief. And we didn't get that until we got the email today.
Right.
So
So,
you will get that plan tomorrow. I have it. And if I have any problem finding it, Joe Genduso will send it to you, to Crystal, and she'll give it to you. Is
okay,
that good?
that's terrific.
Okay.
That's terrific.
Great,
So
thank you.
Thank you all for working
Okay.
together on this. I know it's been a little bit rough, but I think the plan is going to be a good one.
I
Great.
appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay.
Great. Thank you very much, everybody.
Well, thank you.
Yes, and good night, and have a good night.
Night.
Maureen, thank
Yes,
you.
we will.
All right.
Ginny, I'm gonna send that email over to you right now, just so I don't
Okay, great.
forget.
Okay, thank you.
No
And
problem.
I think we should have called this Marion McEttrick night, huh?
Yeah, this
that
was a
on purpose?
record.
That's
I've never
good.
had this before, but it's very efficient.
Well, it's better than coming 4 different nights, isn't it?
It really is. Thank you.
Okay, take
All
care.
right. Take
All
care. You
right.
too.
Good night, thank you.
Good night.